HTC indicated it wants to go down market with its Android phones, risking to be crowded out of the exploding mid and entry-level segments otherwise. And phones like this one here are a good indication of this strategy. This is Daniel from PhoneArena presenting you the HTC Desire 500. The handset sports a youthful, catchy design with internals that are a mixed bag of mid-range to low-end components, all for a decent price. A dual-core Snapdragon 200 processor and a 4.3-inch 480 by 800 pixel screen would have put it squarely among this season's entry-level Androids, but HTC equipped it with an 8-megapixel rear camera with LED flash and gave the phone this cool, eye-catchy design which elevates it to the lower mid-range segment, indicated by its $300 and change introductory price as well. Will the Desire 500 succeed in its market expansion mission the way it is built? Let's find out.
The phone fits very well in the palm thanks to its curved, tapered back cover and rounded corners, and the glossy plastic is not slippery as is so often the case. It's very easy to operate with one hand, which is a breath of fresh air among those giant phablets of late. The cover is thankfully easily removable, so you can swap out the 1800 mAh battery or add extra storage to the paltry 4GB of internal memory, of which only a gig is actually user available. Our white Desire 500 has these nice blue color accents, but there's a black version as well for those who prefer something more conservative. The only gripe we have with the chassis is that HTC went design fancy and cut the power lock key into the plastic shell, then used the side rim's endings as volume buttons, and as a result they're all too flush with the surface and not easy to feel and press without looking, with very shallow tactile feedback, especially the lock key here up top. The HTC Desire 500 has a 4.3-inch LCD screen of acceptable quality. Its resolution is 480 by 800 pixels, which is okay given the smartphone's class, but the 217 ppi count is unimpressive when compared to something a bit more pixel dense. Fuzzy edges in graphics are easy to spot with the naked eye, regardless of whether you're surfing the internet, reading an article, or just looking at the icons on your home screen. Other than that, the screen of the Desire 500 is pretty decent actually. The viewing angles are wide and colors are represented accurately. This display is surely bright enough to be usable outdoors, as long as the sun is not shining straight at it, of course. The latest Sense 5.0 user interface is loaded on the HTC Desire 500, coding Android 4.1.2. We get the HTC Blink Feed news and status aggregator, as well as the Zoe artsy collage maker that comes standard with this UI as well. Granted, the visuals don't run as smooth and seamless as on the powerful HTC One, so prep yourself for some lag while swiping and scrolling around, although it's nothing you can't live without. Sense 5.0 is pretty uniform looking and functional interface with a lot of helpful features, but the default on-screen keyboard, for example, is not one of those. The keys are squished too tight to one another with little distinction, making you tap 2 or 3 at once. At least the 4.3-inch screen size means you can do it with one hand without having to prop the phone with the other, as is the case with many big screen handsets these days. The phone's processing power comes from a low-tier Snapdragon 200 clocked at 1.2 gigs, paired with 1 GB of RAM. We've been playing with it for a while now, and while we can confirm that the phone is responsive most of the time, we're annoyed by the laggy process of switching between apps or interface elements. When it comes to gaming, most games run fine, but those with heavy 3D rendering might run at unimpressive frame rates. HTC put only 4 GB of native storage on the Desire 500, occupied mostly by system files, so in reality the user has only a little over a gig at their disposal for apps and the like. Thankfully, you have a micro SD card slot, so this can be expanded up to 64 GB. The stock web browser on the HTC Desire 500 is okay, but we have definitely seen better. In terms of speed, it loads web pages in a timely manner, and then we cannot complain about lack of responsiveness as well while interacting with them. However, the zooming gesture behaves weirdly, for example, causing the page to shift to the side when you zoom in, and you have to have the text reflow feature turned off to eliminate this issue. Also, the browser seems obsessed with reloading web pages when you switch between tabs. Even pages that we had opened a minute ago were loaded from scratch when we switched back to them. These are minor details, but annoying for the overall user experience nonetheless. We must mention that the web browser also comes with built-in Adobe Flash support, which can be turned on and off from the interface itself. And the phone sports European Asian setup for its cell modem. Depending on the carrier, it's not a 4G device, capped at mere 7.2 megabits per second download speeds, and also features Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0. It has NFC, DLNA, streaming. This is a pretty decent laundry list for the category. Editing capabilities are a staple for the HTC Sense Gallery, and the photos can be shared through multiple venues, including directly to your social networks. Alternatively, you can make an HTC Zoe collage out of them, which glues them automatically with video clips, color effects, and adds music for short artistic collages that you can upload on HTC Share for the world to marvel at. Music playback with the stock player is aided by automatic download of album art, artist info and lyrics where available, and you have SoundHound track recognition functionality that's built right into the app's interface. The built-in speaker is average. It's okay in terms of sound quality for a cell speaker, but its strength is not nearly enough to hear it in noisy environments. The phone plays MPEG-4, XVAD, MKV video files up to 720p resolution without any issues, though for some reason the player isn't licensed for DivX video support, so I'd have to resort to the Play Store and get a third-party app for that. The 8-megapixel camera is joined by an LED flash on the back and managed by HTC's Sense Camera app, which is with extensive list of scene modes and color effects. These include HDR shots, as well as panorama, macro, and night shooting modes. Launching the app and taking the first pic from the lock screen takes about 2 seconds, while shot-to-shot times are almost instantaneous, as it is customary with HTC phones lately. The pictures themselves exhibit accurate color representation and an amount of detail we'd expect from the 8-megapixel camera resolution. The scene exposure and white balance measurements are also correct in most situations, so it'd have a helpful little snapper on you with the Desire 500 most of the times you'll need a picture. The video capture situation is less impressive than the stills, as the phone records with HD 720p resolution and the frame rate of our sample couldn't hit 30 frames per second, and that's even outside. It hovered around 24 FPS instead. The phone's single mic picked quite a lot of wind noise while filming, drowning our narrating voice in the process.
In a nutshell, the HTC Desire 500 is a very solid offering in this price range, with fresh and eye-catching design, which you don't see often in the category. It takes good pictures and has a nice call quality, with about the only gripes being the shallow physical keys and the lack of backlighting for the capacitive keys. Direct competitors are phones like the Sony Xperia L or the LG Optimus L7 II, which offer somewhat inferior specs though, or for a bit more you can get the Xperia SP with a larger display. More formidable for the Desire 500 is the existence of last year's well-rounded LG Optimus L9, which is now cheaper and records 1080p video, but thankfully for HTC, with a 4.7-inch screen, it's not a direct replacement of the Desire 500 in your pocket, so we can definitely recommend to you HTC's handset at that price. And for a more in-depth review of this and other handsets, you can visit us at PhoneArena.com. Thanks for watching.